gonna make a few people a little upset. This is 1 year later with the DJI Osmo Action. What has changed with this camera? A lot actually, which in turn has changed my opinion on this camera. Before we jump into it though, hit that like button, maybe think about subscribing. You like videos like this? There's a bunch of them on this channel. Okay, a quick history lesson. The DJI Osmo Action was released in May of 2019 for $349, and it promised to be a competitor to the GoPro Hero 7 Black. At the time, this was GoPro's main camera that it was going up against, so it was the GoPro Hero 7 Black versus the DJI Osmo Action. So I picked one up, I did a review on it, I fell on my skateboard in slow motion pretty hard, but overall I really liked the camera until about a month later, at which point I had kind of had enough of its shortcomings and I switched back to the GoPro Hero 7 Black. And I had more issues than this, but at the time, the main three were the screen lag was horrible. If you had Rocksteady turned on, there was almost a half a second lag between when you moved the camera and when the screen caught up. And it was even a little worse on the front screen. So while that Rocksteady was awesome, it was hard to use. If you were actually looking at the screen to frame your shot, which they gave us a massive rear screen and a decent sized front screen, they clearly want you to look at the screens. Didn't really work out very well. That was everyone's defense of it, was like, well, it's an action camera, so you don't look at the screen anyways. But they made giant screens so that you would look at the screen. And at the time, the lag, it was just too much. I couldn't deal with it. My second big gripe was that if you were trying to switch to that front screen, you hold down this side button, it switches screens. It would actually chapter a new clip if you were in the middle of filming. So let's say you filmed a 1 minute clip, but you switched from the rear screen to the front screen, and then the front screen back to the rear screen. You would actually end up with 3 clips for that 1 minute of footage, which was just so silly because it seems like you could just switch the screens and continue recording. And then my third complaint at the time, which I admitted was silly, it still is silly, but it also still is an issue, is the SD card is very recessed under this little door. So to get the SD card out, it's way in there. It doesn't usually come out with just my fingernails. Apparently I need longer fingernails. Somebody in some video showed me a trick. That's not really a trick because it's annoying. Pull the door off, use the door to tap the SD card, and then you can get it out. And then when you put a new SD card in, use the door again to put it in there, and then you reattach the door. Silly, that's just bad design. Again, I know, a very small complaint, but in real everyday use, you're taking the SD card in and out, it's just a pain. Okay, now 1 year later, we have the same physical camera, but with a lot of software updates. So now, how does it compare to a GoPro? But since this isn't GoPro's new camera, we'll actually compare it to the Hero 8, since this is DJI's latest offering, and this is GoPro's latest offering. We're gonna see how these two stack up against each other and which one I would recommend you buy right now. One thing that has changed on the DJI is the price. When it first came out, it was $349. I think right now it's on Amazon for $263 US, but I've seen it on there for $249 recently. I feel like I just saw it on there for $249, so keep an eye out for $249. I think that's the best deal you can get on the Osmo Action, but $263, still a smoking deal. And with all those software updates that they've been doing this year, and it's been a ton of different updates, they almost completely removed the lag. So now when you look at the lag, it is almost the same as the GoPro. The GoPro is still a tiny bit faster. There's still a tiny bit of lag on the DJI, but it's very usable. It doesn't bug me anymore. Before I would try to move in on something to film it, and it was so far behind that I just couldn't do it. And now, even though it does lag a tiny bit more than the Hero 8, it's totally usable now. They've also removed that chaptering issue while recording. So if I start recording and I switch to the front screen, it just switches the screens now and it doesn't start a new clip. It just continues recording. I can switch back to the rear screen again. We are now 8 seconds into a clip and it has not chaptered a clip just because I switched screens. That was huge. I'm super stoked they fixed that. They added a hyperlapse mode into this, which is awesome because I really like hyperlapses on my GoPro. They also added a face-oriented exposure metering, which means that it's looking for a face in the image and it's trying to keep your face exposed properly. And they also partnered with Sonova for an audio adapter. You know, GoPro has that massive audio adapter. They just have this little one. You take this door off and then this just pops into the side right there. Boom, audio adapter. Nice and small. That was definitely something missing when they first launched the Osmo Action. Hey, it's cool and all, but you can't plug an external mic into it, especially for a camera that gave you a front screen, so it's clearly designed for vlogging. And all around, those updates just made it a smoother, more stable, more capable camera. But now in 2020, how does it compare to the Hero 8 Black? And I think it beats it. Okay, I know that's gonna upset a lot of people, but just realize that if in 2020 you have a GoPro Hero 8 Black, it's an amazing camera, arguably the best action camera in the world. And if you have a DJI Osmo Action, you also have one of the most amazing action cameras ever, arguably the best in the world. So either camera you have, you're in great shape, you've made a good choice, and you have a fantastic camera. So don't be mad, but I think this awesome, amazing, incredible, arguably the best camera is slightly better than this awesome, amazing, arguably the best camera for right now. People get so upset when you say that one camera is better than the other, but they're both great cameras. Okay, so why the DJI Osmo Action then? Why do I think this camera is actually slightly better than the GoPro? The main and the first one is that front screen. I gotta tell you, having a front screen is amazing. It's incredible. People that are creating content these days are on camera like I am right now, but we're also the camera operators. There's not someone behind the camera. So it's just me walking around with this thing, looking at the screen. I can actually frame my shot up. I can see, oh, it's underexposed, I have to fix something. I can tell that on the camera. With the GoPro, if I'm walking around like this, I kind of have an idea of where I need it to point. Like I kind of know I want it to point like right here, like the top of my chest, like right where my neck meets my chest. I always know that's kind of a good general spot, but I have no idea because I don't know what I'm filming. It's massive, and I'm so surprised that GoPro didn't build that into the Hero 8. And they're clearly not gonna build it into the Hero 9 because they came out with their Media Mod kit, which, by the way, is an extra $79. And then if you want that flip-up screen that they've been promising for almost a year now, that's another $79. And oh, by the way, the Media Mod with flip-up kit, not waterproof. The DJI Osmo Action that came out over a year ago has a front screen built in, totally waterproof, no Media Mod kit needed. That's impressive. Okay, number 2 reason that the Osmo Action is slightly better than the Hero 8 Black is no removable lens cover on the Hero 8 Black and a circular screw-off lens cover on the Osmo Action. Now, why is circular so amazing? It's because the Polar Pro kit that they sent for this thing, I know I made a video about this before, but you put on a circular ring and then the ND filters magnet to it. So now I can switch ND filters. Now I'm on ND8, boom, pop that off, and now I'm on ND16. Really simple because I was able to screw on this little adapter piece. And then it gets even better because from Freewell, they sent these over a while back, ND filters, but again, because this lens is circular, we're gonna screw this on. So this is an ND64, very dark, but also you kind of can't tell, it has a circular polarizer in front. So I can actually spin this front element as a circular polarizer on my action camera, which you can totally do if the lens cover is circular, and you can't really do, or it would be weird if it's square. Also, just the fact that if you break that, you're toast, and if I break this, I just unscrew it and screw on another one. I'll link both of these filter sets below so you can go check them out. Again, the Polar Pro uses a magnetic kind of ring that goes on there first, magnetic, and then the freewell is cool because it has a front element that spins, so you can have a polarizer plus an ND filter. Very clever. Okay, number 3 reason why I think the Osmo Action is actually a better camera is this button right on the side. This button right here is the quick switch button, and it's kind of magical. See, the reason that I've always told people, hey, if you have a Hero 7, don't upgrade to the 8, just keep the 7, it's amazing. But if you don't have either of these, then get the 8 because there's a couple of things that make the 8 better. The main one for me being the presets in there. I showed this to you guys in the GoPro settings video, but I can go in here, I can tap in, and I can have all these preset modes that I can just jump to really quick. So I can hop from 4K 24 frames a second to 1080 240 frames a second with just doop doop, and I'm there. And the GoPro Hero 8 kind of stole that from Osmo Action because the Osmo Action had that first. They had the creative shooting modes in there, but in order to switch modes on the GoPro 8, I have to use the touch screen, I have to tap the touch screen, I have to bink, get it in there. So if I'm in the water or I'm wearing gloves, that's not happening. But let me switch to the front screen so you can see it a little better. And boom, as I tap that quick switch button, I'm switching between modes. I can switch between all the different modes that I have set up in there with a physical button that's large and clicky, and I can feel that I've hit it in the water with gloves on. It doesn't matter. I can swap modes to my presets and then start recording. And while that seems like a small thing, again, in daily use, in the situations when you're in the pool or you're in the water with this thing and you're going, you're trying to dry your fingers while you're wet and you're like, come on, the touch screen's not working, come on, drives you crazy. And with this, it's a physical button. You'd be covered in baby oil and you can still use that button. I don't know why you're covered in baby oil, but good for you. Okay, number 4, why I think the Osmo Action is the way to go. I actually like D-Cine-like on the Osmo Action better than GoPro's flat mode. So these are our flat modes, which are desaturated, have a lot more of that information in there, and they're designed to edit later, to color correct later. They're very different in the standard modes. The GoPro has that GoPro look. It's warmer, it's more saturated, the blues are super punchy, and the Osmo Action kind of looks more like a Sony color profile, a little greener, a little flatter, a little less saturation, straight out of the camera in standard modes. But then you flip to those flat modes, and I think the D-Cine-like is much, much better to work with than GoPro's flat profile. And again, that's totally personal preference. You could look at those two side by side and say, I like the GoPro better, and you get to make that choice, because this is America. And number 5 reason I like this so much is the built-in de-warp mode. I can shoot with the lens nice and wide, have de-warp turned on, and I don't get any of that fisheye effect. All my lines are nice and straight. The horizon isn't bending on me to where I have to go back in Premiere and fix that warping. It just does it in camera because it has a de-warp mode. The downside here though is that the Osmo Action does not have an adjustable field of view. On the GoPro I can do super view, wide, medium, and narrow, and on here you just get what you get. Wider without stabilization, and then it's a little tighter with stabilization, and that's it. But it's de-warped, so it's kind of ready to go out of the camera. Okay, number 6 is I actually like the UI better on the Osmo Action than on the GoPro. I like how it moves, how you swipe through menus, all that kind of stuff. It looks really good. The nice thing about the GoPro is that they added those shortcuts on screen, so I can tap on these shortcuts and I can make adjustments straight from the screen, which is kind of nice. That's the only thing about the UI on the GoPro that I prefer, but everything else, going through the menu system, I like it better on the Osmo Action. Again, a personal preference thing, it's just me. Not you, GoPro, it's me. And the number 7 reason why I think the Osmo Action is actually a little better than the GoPro Hero 8 Black is the battery door setup. We talked about this the first time. Battery and the battery door are all one piece. You pop this tab, you pop that one, and the whole thing pops out. The door is part of the battery. It's open, has no door that kind of physically swings open. I put the whole thing in there, I lock it in place, and boom, we're ready to rock. And on the GoPro, because they put those flippy feet on the bottom, they moved the battery door to the side, and when you open it, it doesn't go to full 90. And because it doesn't go to full 90, usually when you grab the battery, you you take the door with it. Drives me crazy every time. So now I pretty much just take the door off every time I'm gonna change the battery. I'll just take it off, I'll switch batteries, think, get the door back in place, and now I have changed the battery. I realize this is another personal preference. I just don't think that this is a good system, that this is, you see, it gets caught. It's not enough room, not enough clearance to get the battery in and out. And again, on the Osmo Action, it's just these two, gink, and now the whole thing comes out, and then gink, now the whole thing is back in there. That's slick. Okay, but the Hero 8 Black should be replaced by the Hero 9 at some point later this year, and we're hoping that the Osmo Action 1.0 gets replaced by the 2.0. So DJI, if you're by any chance watching this video, here's a couple things I would love to see in the Osmo Action 2.0. Number one is something that I realize would be a massive battery drain, and I'm okay with that. I want the rear screen and the front screen to be able to be on at the same time. I don't want to have to switch it when I do this, because I do that a lot. I walk around filming something, and then I come back and now I'm talking like this, and then I go, oh hey, and I flip it back around. And having to go like this, switch. Okay, now I'm on the front screen, I'm filming, I'm talking, hey, there he is, hang on. Okay, now I have a rear screen. There is that like 1.5 seconds lag there that I wish there was a mode that I realize will suck the battery. I could just have both screens on at the same time. Number two, I wish that the Osmo Action had something similar to the GoPro's Super View mode. Super View is basically a 4:3 aspect ratio video that takes full advantage of the sensor size, and then it squishes it down into the 16.9 frame. Currently, the Osmo Action does not have that, so you kind of lose a lot of that top and bottom of a frame, and for POV shots, I will still be using the GoPro. So on my motorcycle helmet, if I'm using the bike mount walking around a lot, I'll probably still use my GoPro. For all other shots, I'm switching to the Osmo Action. So give me Super View over here and I won't have to use two cameras. Next up, I'd love to see better microphones in here. The microphones on this are pretty comparable to the Hero 7, but GoPro made some big jumps with the GoPro Hero 8 and the microphones. The microphones on the 8 sound really good. The microphones on here, not great. Again though, we have that Sonova adapter, so we can pop that on here, then we can mount the Rode Micro on the side here, and then we've got some pretty great audio. All right, here's an audio test of the Osmo Action without the mic plugged in. This is just the internal built-in mics. It doesn't sound terrible, but it's not great. And then here's an audio test with the Sonova audio adapter plugged in and the Rode Video Micro. It sounds way better, isolates the voice much better. If you have headphones on, you're gonna really hear the difference here. So with all that said, as of July 2020, which of these two cameras would I suggest someone go buy? I would say go buy an Osmo Action. I think all around as a user experience, this is the better camera to have right now. It's cheaper, it's better in almost every way, unless you need a lot of top and bottom Super View mode, you're gonna do a lot of POV, then maybe go for the GoPro Hero 8 because of that Super View. But in almost every other scenario, I would say the Osmo Action is the way to go. What do you guys think though? The Hero 9 should be coming out soon. What do you guys think they're gonna do to upgrade this camera to compete with a possible Osmo Action 2? Again, the built-in screen is there. I don't think GoPro can add the built-in screen because then they'll totally make the whole flip-up screen that they promised like a year ago. It still hasn't come out, but they'll make that flip-up screen for no reason. But I'm excited to see what they do come out with in the Hero 9, and I'm super excited to see what they come out with the Osmo Action 2.0. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. For now, this rig. So I'm going with the new grip tripod as my main thing here. This goes into the PGY Tech. I'll link all this in the description below. PGY Tech cage. Slide that in there like that. And the cool thing about this cage is that it gives you a cold shoe on the side. So my mic pops out way over here. It doesn't get in the frame at all. I plug this in. Oh wait, need that Sonova adapter. And bam, here, let's flip around the screen so you can see yourself. Boom, that's my, this will be my action camera rig. This will be our walking around vlog rig. And then when I don't wanna walk around with a microphone on there, I'll just pop that off and it'll look just like that. Pretty sweet rig right now for July 2020. We'll see again what the Hero 9 comes up with and the Osmo Action 2. But for right now, this is it. What do you guys think? Let me know. comments below. Don't be mad. Again, don't be mad that I'm not choosing the GoPro as the best camera. It's still amazing. If you have it, good job. You chose a really, really good camera. Okay, bye. This is a crazy, compact vlogging rig that is, I can see myself. See, you can't see it because the screen's on the front right now, but I can see myself. I have good audio. It's shockingly compact. I just, boom, and in my backpack. Yeah, that's good. That's really good.